Hello, I'd like to welcome you at this time to our 15th session in our series of videos that are designed to help you look at life from a more spiritual point of view. As the saying goes, God works in mysterious ways. The truth of that statement is demonstrated by the fact that there are sometimes inspired messages that are placed in certain movies for the benefit of the higher consciousness of those in the audience. Let's talk about this interesting observation. There are numerous additional sources of information that are here to help us by acting as guideposts along life's pathway. Some are so subtle that you might never be aware that they're providing important and worthwhile information to give greater understanding and spiritual growth to those who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart that's receptive to the light that's being given. Other signposts or guideposts are not quite so subtle, yet it is nevertheless not particularly well known that they are such sources of this kind of information. Excuse me. For a great many years, however, it has been well known to some that the arts are often favored by higher positive unseen forces as a means of delivering important inspired messages to the people of this planet. This has been especially true in the case of a number of movies that have been made over the past 30 or 40 years or so, and we'll discuss some of them here. It would not be wise, nor is it intended, for me to put words into the mouths of the talented writers, directors, producers, and actors involved. For many of them, I suspect, have no idea that the stories they're telling have been inspired for the purpose of bringing important messages to the worldwide audiences that they have reached and that they will continue to reach. In the opinion of some, the first Star Wars trilogy of films that was released constitutes one of the most significant instances of such inspiration during that time period of 30 or 40 years. It should be restated, however, once again, that there is no intention by this speaker to put words into the mouths of the people who create such beautiful stories, because, as already stated, they often have no idea that they're being inspired as instruments through which powerful, higher, positive, spiritual, unseen forces are delivering important messages excuse me, that register on the higher consciousness of a worldwide audience. It might interest you to know that within the story of that Star Wars trilogy is woven a thread that is common to the stories in a number of other films also. In order to provide a bit of background for some of the higher concepts that these stories are bringing forth, it should be explained that our planet is watched over by a spirit being known as the planetary Logos. One of the many blessings provided by this Logos is that of acting as a spiritual mentor, teacher, and guide to persons who have reached a certain level of spiritual development in their lives as they make their way on the path to higher spiritual attainment. Excuse me. The time period for this high office of Logos for our planet approximates the length of an age, or about 2160 years. For most of the Piscean or Piscean age, as some people say, our planetary Logos has been the beloved one, the ascended Master Jesus, the Christ. If you recall, he told us that he would be with us always, even to the end of the age. Excuse me. This role is quite well portrayed symbolically, albeit on a galactic scale rather than a planetary scale, in the first released Star Wars trilogy by the Jedi Master Yoda, a spiritual mentor, teacher, guide for those who have reached a certain level of readiness. Although his time of mentorship is near an end, Yoda takes on the training of aspirant Luke Skywalker, a young man whom is said to be strong with the Force, and who has the potential to bring about much needed change by precipitating or bringing about the events and circumstances that will destroy the evil empire and restore harmony and order to the galaxy. Master Yoda begins this aspirant's formal training as it had been done for others many times before. Excuse me. During the teaching process, Master Yoda speaks many words of wisdom, planting in the mind and heart of the student the seeds of greater spiritual growth. Even before we see Yoda, however, we hear the words of the Jedi teachings as spoken by Obi-Wan, when he tells Luke, "Your eyes can deceive you. Reach out with your feelings. Trust your feelings." This is a veiled or somewhat hidden way of telling Luke to reach out to the higher self that lives within each of us and to trust the guidance of the higher self. The Master Yoda himself later tells Luke, "Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter," as he touches Luke's shoulder. This, of course, means that our bodies are not the real us, but simply the vehicles that we, spirit beings of light, have chosen and fashioned according to our needs for a given incarnation, to allow us to live in and learn on this physical material plane. Because this is a physical material world, there are, of course, many aspects of life on this material plane that easily lend themselves to becoming obstacles in one's path and are not particularly helpful to those who seek a higher way of life. To quote Master Yoda once again, "A Jedi craves not these things." In one manifestation of such an obstacle, there are from time to time those who become overly concerned about appearance. They're either speculating about how some great spiritual personality from the past may have looked, or even deciding how people today ought to have a certain appearance to be more acceptable in society. An example of this in the film series was Luke Skywalker's mistaken understanding that in seeking Yoda he was seeking a great warrior. Master Yoda very wisely addressed this false notion on one occasion when he reminded Luke that war does not make one great. Yoda addressed that idea a second time when he said to Luke, "Judge me by my size, do you? And well, you should not." He could as easily have said, "Judge me by my color, or my clothing, or my education, or my economic condition, do you? And well, you should not." Very probably you could add to these a number of additional instances in this trilogy where the Master Yoda passes along his knowledge to the serious young aspirant Luke Skywalker. You may be assured that these pearls of wisdom did not occur in the dialogue by accident. They were inspired without question. Excuse me. When Master Yoda's work is completed and he passes over to the other plane of existence, he will go on to a yet higher work in the same way that the Master Jesus, who has been our planetary logos, will soon replace Osiris, the existing solar logos, and a new planetary logos will come into being in the years ahead. The latter is due to the earlier coming together into oneness of the universal Christ Spirit and the quickly maturing, already present planetary master of and God's messenger for the newly arriving Aquarian Age. As an aside, I would like to say at this time that using the term the Aquarian Age may cause many to misunderstand what has been said and the reason why this term was used. Some of those who read it will automatically want to classify the speaker and the information being given here by applying some name or label to them. They seek to do this so that they can then attempt to associate the speaker and his information here with any and all beliefs and writings, no matter how outlandish, that they currently ascribe to that same classification, name, or label. These things are done with the hope of discrediting the information that is being given here and elsewhere, information which does not agree with their own beliefs. Let it be said here and now that this speaker subscribes to his own words and the information being given here, and should not be associated with anything other than those. Let it be further stated that the facts, no matter how different from that with which we have become accustomed, need no label other than truth. And as we stated previously, it has been said that the only real truth is that all truth is relative. Thank you for watching. The next session begins a discussion on the meaning behind the Star Wars trilogies.